Good day everyone, my name is Dr. John Sia, and today I will bring you to the introduction to veterinary drugs. What's the difference between human and veterinary approved drugs? Human drugs are approved for human use. They are tested, formulated, and designed for people. Dogs, cats, and other animals, however, are not humans. That's why it is important to have medications that are approved for animals. Drugs approved for animals have dosing recommendations for specific species based on their weight. The safety information is also specific to that particular species. In general, veterinary drugs can be divided into 4 categories, namely prophylactics, therapeutics, vaccines, and antiseptics. So what is prophylaxis? It is a strategic treatment used to contain the spread of infection and to prevent illness before the development of clinical signs. It entails treating a herd or group of animals after illness has been diagnosed in one or more animals in the group or on the basis of previous experience. Parasiticides are generally divided into 3 categories: endoparasiticides, ectoparasiticides, and endectocides. Endoparasiticides are used to kill internal parasites such as roundworms, tapeworms, and flutes. This is in contrast with ectoparasiticides, which is used against external parasites. There are also parasiticides that are effective against both endo and ectoparasites, which is known as endectocides. Gastrointestinal parasites are responsible for high economic losses due to delayed growth, weight loss, reduction of food consumption, drop in milk production, low fertility, and even mortality. These are some of the examples of endoparasites. They are roundworm, tapeworm, hookworm, fluke, pinworm, whipworm, and coccidia protozoa. And heartworm, which causes heart failure, severe lung disease, and death mainly in dogs and cats. It is caused by a parasitic worm called Dirofilaria immitis. The worms are spread through the bite of a mosquito. These are some of the commonly used endoparasiticides in animals. Amprolium is used in treating coccidiosis in poultry. Coccidiosis is a parasitic disease of the intestinal tract caused by Coccidium protozoa. The disease spreads from one bird to another by contact with infected feces or ingestion of infected tissue. Its primary symptom is diarrhea, which may become bloody in severe cases. Clamoxyquine is used to treat Whirling disease in salmoniid fish, the family of fish that includes trout, salmon, and whitefish. The disease is caused by an invasive parasite known as Myxobolus cerebralis. The parasite penetrates the head and spine cartilage of salmoniid fish, where it multiplies very rapidly, putting pressure on the organ of equilibrium. This causes the fish to swim erratically and have difficulty feeding and avoiding predators. Other physical signs of the disease include darkened tail, twisted spine, and deformed head. In severe infections, Whirling disease can cause death. Fenbendazole is a broad-spectrum antiparasitic used in dogs, cats, and livestock against internal parasites, mainly roundworms and tapeworms. Next is mebendazole. Mebendazole is an effective anthelmintic in dogs and cats. It prevents glucose and nutrient uptake in the parasites, causing them fail to survive in their host. Mubamycin is active against a broad spectrum of roundworms. Its miticide spectrum includes Sarcoptes and Demodex. The drug is also FDA approved for prevention of heartworm in dogs and cats, although it is less potent against heartworm in comparison to ivermectin. Praziquantel with pyrantel is effective in treating and controlling the tapeworms, hookworms, and large roundworms, while rofloxacin is active against liver fluids in ruminants. These are some of the clinical cases of endoparasitism, such as coccidiosis in a rabbit, landworms in the trachea of a cow, tapeworm in a fish, and Whirling disease in a salmon fish. And a long list of endoparasites that you may find in a pig. Next, we shall move on to the ectoparasites. Ectoparasite lives externally on another animal. Common examples of ectoparasites are mites, ticks, fleas, fly, louse, and mosquitoes. One investigation found that horses can lose up to half a liter of blood per day from fly bites. In a separate study, it shows that the presence of flies is associated with reduced weight gain and milk production in cattle. Ectoparasites such as ticks and lice can cause anemia as well as weight loss, which can even be fatal if parasite burdens are particularly high. These are some examples of ectoparasiticides. Amitraz is a topical treatment primarily used to treat dermaticosis, a type of mange or kurap in Malay. It is also used as topical treatment for flea and tick infestation in dogs. Fipronil disrupts the insect central nervous system by blocking GABA-gated chloride channels and glutamate-gated chloride channels. This causes hyperexcitation of insects' nerve and muscles, leading to death. Lufaneuron is an insect growth regulator that controls flea infestation in dogs, cats, rabbits, and ferrets. Nitempirum is a systemic insecticide used to treat adult flea infestation. Some clinical cases of ectoparasitism. It shows ear mites in a cat, horse mange, cat flea, and tick infestation in a dog. Demodex mite infestation in dogs and cats, and we used to call that in Malay language as anjing kurap, kucing kurap. Next is endectocides. Endectocides kill both endo and ectoparasites. Revolution and Advocate protect the pet animals from fleas, heartworms, mites, ticks, as well as roundworms and hoodworms. Ivermectin, on the other hand, is more commonly used to prevent heartworm in dogs and cats. It is also used to treat gastrointestinal roundworms, landworms, sucking lice, and mites in cattle. We shall now move on to the therapeutic drugs. A pharmaceutical drug, or medicine, is a chemical substance used to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose a disease, or to promote well-being. Drugs are obtained through extraction from medicinal plants or by organic synthesis. Pharmaceutical drugs may be used for a limited duration or on regular basis for chronic disorders. Anesthesia is required for surgical procedures and certain diagnostic procedures. It aims to minimize the stress response. Aggressive animals may require anesthesia before performing a physical examination. Exotic animals frequently require anesthesia for a simple procedure, such as taking a radiograph or catheter placement, due to lack of domesticity. These are examples of anesthetic agents including pentobarbital, ketamine, and propofol. Analgesic drugs work at various pain pathways, so they will interrupt the signals to the brain at different levels. And these are some common analgesic agents used in animals. Next is antibiotics and antimicrobials. Antibiotics are medicines that help stop infections caused by bacteria. They do this by killing the bacteria or by keeping them from copying themselves or reproducing. The word antibiotic means against life. Any drug that kills germs is technically an antibiotic, while an antimicrobial is an agent that kills microorganisms or stops their growth. Antimicrobials can be grouped according to the microorganisms they act primarily against. For example, antibiotics are used against bacteria and antifungals are used against fungi. A long list of antimicrobials available in the market: Clavamox, clindamycin, doxycycline, enrofloxacin, metronidazole, moxifloxacin, neomycin, nystatin, rifampin, and streptomycin. Trimethoprim sulfadoxine is a broad-spectrum antibacterial agent that is used in cattle and swine to prevent and treat infections by both gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. This antimicrobial list, however, is not exhaustive. Anti-inflammatory drugs comprising non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs or NSAIDs, and also steroidal drugs. Some of the common cardiovascular drugs. Amlodipine is a calcium channel blocker that helps decrease blood pressure. Atenolol treats cardiac arrhythmias, hypertension, and diabetes, plus other cardiovascular disorders, so on and so forth. Drugs for gastrointestinal disease or disease conditions. Hormonal therapies for animals. For instance, Atrenogest is used to synchronize estrus. Respiratory drugs. Sedatives help animals relax and reduce anxiety, unlike a real anesthetic agent, which makes a pet extraordinarily sleepy and unresponsive. A sedative makes an animal slightly drowsy and calm, while still allowing them to be aware of and interact with their environment. Other drugs such as eye drops, anticonvulsant, and so on and so forth. Mitratapide is used to help weight management in dogs. In other words, slimming pill for obese dogs. Next, we shall move on to antiseptics. An antiseptic is a substance that stops or slows down the growth of microorganisms. Antiseptic caters for cuts and superficial wounds. It protects wounds from secondary infection. These are common antiseptics: benzalkonium chloride, cetrimide, chlorhexidine, chloroxylenol, crystal violet, glutaldehyde, hydrogen peroxide, povidone iodine, and tea tree oil. Povidone iodine is an effective antiseptic that does not impede wound healing. Povidone iodine is bactericidal against gram-positive and gram-negative organisms. The right diagram shows the use of hydrogen peroxide spray at the ear tag area. Benzalkonium chloride and cetrimide cream. Glutaraldehyde and hydrogen peroxide. Teeth deep concentrate for the prevention of mastitis in the dairy cow. Other antiseptics such as chlorhexidine, Dettol, and povidone iodine. With that note, I thank you for your attention.